Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm 25 years old and I come from Italy. I live with my parents in a small, peaceful town. It's the kind of place where everyone knows each other. The streets are narrow. The buildings are old, but full of character. And the neighbors, they're always kind and welcoming. It's beautiful here and I've always appreciated growing up in this town. But deep inside, I've always felt like there was something more out there. I've always dreamed of seeing the world beyond my town. I wanted new experiences, new people, a different life. More than anything, I wanted to study in New York City. That city felt like the center of everything, full of energy, opportunities. One day she said, "Jessica, your English is very strong. You should consider studying abroad." Her words stayed with me. They made me believe maybe I was capable of something bigger. From that moment on, I couldn't stop thinking about New York. I imagined myself walking through crowded streets, surrounded by tall buildings, attending real classes. It felt exciting and a little scary at the same time. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. A woman came to visit our town. She said she was from a large city in Italy. She carried herself with confidence, dressed professionally, and spoke in a way that made people listen. She told us about a school in New York. "This school is incredible," she said. "Students learn English very quickly. Many people go, and they all love it." She showed me photos of smiling students in classrooms. Everything looked perfect. She looked at me and said, "You could study there too. I can help you make it happen." My heart raced with excitement. This felt like the opportunity I had been waiting for. She handed me several forms. "Fill these out," she said. "Once you pay the school fees, I'll handle everything else." I trusted her. She seemed experienced and honest. I didn't think about the risks. When I told my parents, they didn't react the way I expected. My father looked serious. "New York is a big, dangerous city," he said. "You don't know anyone there." My mother added softly, "Are you sure you can trust this woman? Please be careful, Jessica." I understood their concerns, but my mind was already made up. "This is my dream," I told them. "I want to learn. I want to grow." My father sighed. "Dreams are important," he said. "But you must be careful. Not everything goes as planned." I smiled, trying to reassure him. "Nothing bad will happen. I'll be careful. I promise." For days, I couldn't stop thinking about New York. I looked at photos on my phone, bright lights, yellow taxis, and skyscrapers reaching into the sky. Everything about it fascinated me. I shared my plan with my best friend Sophia. Her eyes lit up immediately. "That sounds amazing," she said. "I want to come with you." Hearing that made me incredibly happy. Sophia had always supported me, and knowing she would be there made everything feel less scary. We began planning together. We talked about the future, about everything we wanted to see and do. I felt ready to leave behind the familiar and step into something unknown. Even though my parents were still worried, I kept telling them I would be safe. I didn't know what the future would bring, but I felt brave. I was ready to begin my adventure. New York, here I come. The day after I made the final decision to go to New York, everything started to feel real. This wasn't just a dream anymore. It was actually happening. I sat down on my bed with a notebook and began making a list of everything I would need. Clothes, books, personal items, and of course, my important documents, my passport, and the papers the woman had given me about the school. I felt excited, but there was also a small knot of nervousness in my stomach. This was the biggest step I had ever taken in my life. Sophia and I talked constantly about our plan. One afternoon she said, "Jessica, we should book our flight soon." She was right. We opened her laptop and searched for flights together. After comparing prices, we found one we could afford. The departure date was in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It suddenly felt very close. A rush of excitement ran through me. My life was about to change forever. At home, I began packing my suitcase. My mother stayed beside me, quietly helping. She folded my clothes carefully and placed them neatly inside. "Make sure you bring warm clothes," she said gently. "New York can get very cold." She also packed some snacks for me. "You might get hungry on the plane," she added with a soft smile. My father stood near the doorway, watching silently. I could see the concern in his eyes, even though he didn't say much. Sophia and I met every day to prepare. She was just as excited as I was. One day, she held up her camera and said, "I'm going to take so many pictures. We'll remember this trip forever." We talked about all the places we wanted to visit. "We have to see Times Square," Sophia said. "And the Statue of Liberty," I added. We laughed, imagining ourselves standing in those famous places. A few days before our flight, my father called me into the living room. He handed me some money. "Keep this safe," he said. "Only use it if you really need it." I hugged him tightly. "Thank you, Dad. I'll be careful." My mother gave me a small notebook. "Write about your journey," she said. "I want to read everything when you come back." I promised her I would. Finally, the day of our flight arrived. Sophia and I woke up early that morning. My parents drove us to the airport. The car ride was quiet. No one spoke much. When we arrived, my mother looked at me, with tears in her eyes. "Please call us when you land," she said. I hugged her and whispered, "I will. Don't worry." Inside the airport, everything felt huge and unfamiliar. There were so many people, so many screens, and so many voices. Sophia and I checked our bags and received our boarding passes. Then we went through security and found our gate. My heart was pounding. I turned to Sophia and said, "We're really doing this. We're actually going to New York." She smiled confidently. "Yes, we are." When it was time to board the plane, I felt a mix of emotions: excitement, nervousness, and fear, all at once. I looked back one last time and waved goodbye to my parents. Then, Sophia and I stepped onto the plane. I found my seat, sat down, and fastened my seatbelt. I took a deep breath. This was it. This was the beginning of everything I had dreamed about. I didn't know exactly what was waiting for me, but I was ready to find out. Sophia and I were seated next to each other on the plane. It was my first time flying, and everything felt unfamiliar and surreal. I leaned toward the window and watched as the airport slowly grew smaller. Within moments, the plane lifted off the ground, and my heart jumped. A strange mix of excitement and nervous energy filled my chest. "We're really on our way," I said quietly. Sophia smiled. "This is where our adventure begins." After some time, the flight attendants came by, with drinks and snacks. I took a small sandwich and a cup of juice. It wasn't bad at all. Sophia laughed. "Airplane food isn't as terrible as people claim," she said. In front of us was a small screen, and we decided to watch a movie. It was an American film, with English subtitles. I paid close attention, reading every word carefully. "This is actually good practice," I told Sophia. She nodded. "You're right." When the movie ended, I looked around the cabin. Some passengers were asleep, others were reading, and a few were talking quietly. The steady sound of the engines filled the air. It was loud, but somehow calming. I reached into my bag and took out the notebook my mother had given me. I opened to the first page and began writing. "We're flying above the clouds," I wrote. "Everything below looks so small. I still can't believe I'm on my way to New York." After writing for a while, Sophia turned to me. "What's the first thing you want to do when we get there?" she asked. I thought about it. "I want to see Times Square," I said. "I want to feel the energy of the city." Sophia smiled. "I want to try real New York pizza. I've heard it's the best." We both laughed. As the hours passed, the excitement slowly turned into exhaustion. It was a long overnight flight, and my body began to feel heavy. I leaned back and closed my eyes. The seat wasn't very comfortable, but eventually, I managed to fall asleep.
And I knew this was only the beginning. The days in New York passed quickly. Every morning I woke up with excitement, wondering what the city would show me next. Classes were challenging, but I loved every moment. I practiced English every day, listened carefully, and spoke with my classmates whenever I could. Sophia and I explored the city after school. We rode the subway, walked through the neighborhoods, and discovered small cafes, street performers, and hidden parks. I kept writing in my notebook every night. I wrote about the people I met, the things I saw, and how I was feeling. Sometimes I felt tired, sometimes overwhelmed, but mostly I felt alive. One weekend we decided to take a ferry to the Statue of Liberty. The water was sparkling, the skyline looked stunning, and seeing Lady Liberty up close was a moment I would never forget. Times Square at night became our favorite place. The lights, the sounds, the energy. It was like nothing else in the world. We met other students from different countries. They shared their stories, and we shared ours. I realized everyone was chasing a dream, just like me. Even though the city was big, sometimes chaotic, it felt like home. I started to understand. This experience wasn't just about learning English. It was about growing, learning independence, and finding courage I didn't know I had. Sophia and I often sat on the steps of a small park, watching the people pass by, talking about our dreams, and imagining the future. One evening, as we watched the sunset behind the skyscrapers, I whispered to Sophia, "I can't believe how far we've come. This is everything I ever dreamed of, and more." She smiled and held my hand. "We did it, Jessica. We really did it." And I knew, no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready. This was my life now, and I was going to make the most of every single moment. Months passed, and life in New York became my new normal. I had made friends, learned so much, and discovered parts of myself I never knew existed. Sophia and I still explored every corner of the city. We laughed, we got lost, and we celebrated every small adventure. I often thought about my parents, how worried they had been, and how proud they would be to see me now. One day I called them. Hearing their voices filled me with warmth. "I'm doing well, Mom. Dad, I said, I'm learning. I'm growing. And I'm safe. They were happy. And a little emotional. You're making us proud, my father said. I smiled and promised to continue chasing my dreams. New York had taught me so much. It taught me courage, independence, and the power of believing in yourself. Every challenge I faced, every new experience, made me stronger, more confident, more me. Looking back, I realized the little girl from a small town in Italy had traveled far, not just across the world, but into a whole new life.
Sophia and I stood on a rooftop one evening, watching the sunset paint the skyline. I took a deep breath, feeling proud, happy, and grateful. This is just the beginning, I said softly. And I knew it was true. New York was my adventure, my dream, my chance to become the person I always wanted to be. No matter what came next, I was ready, because this was my life now, and I was going to live it fully.